Welcome to Love You Bro podcast. I am Jude Devella, and I'm here with my baby brother, Jamie Devella.
What it do?
And we got a special guest coming on today, man. We'll tell the whole story about how this started, but we've been wanting to get him on for a long time. And tonight we have on the pitcher from the national championship game at the College World Series from the University of Tennessee, Zander Sechrist. What's up, my brother?
What's going on, guys? Thank you guys so much for having me on.
Appreciate you, absolutely, man. We couldn't wait to get you on, man. I know last year when you won the World Series, there was just so much stuff shaking and moving. I saw you guys in your parade and stuff, and then I knew guys started getting drafted, and you went undrafted and went to the Twins. I knew you were busy, so I was just glad that when I gave you the shot, you're like, hey, let's go, let's do this. So thank you so much for taking time out to be with us tonight.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a long time coming, but I'm glad we can get this done.
Yeah. Hey, Zander, so let's jump in a little bit. I'm going to tell a little bit, then we got questions and stuff for you. So every year I go to the College World Series. I'm a huge baseball junkie. I played baseball in college and stuff. And this is where you and I are going to connect. I was left-hander. I was a left-handed dude pitcher. So I go to the World Series, and we get there, and it's the middle of the week, and I told my guy, I said, I just like this. I like this Vol squad, man. I like this Tennessee squad. So I go and I get the hat. We go in a bar. We're having a beer. And it's the Wednesday that you're going to throw against Florida State. So we're sitting there, and lo and behold, your mom is standing right next to me. And my guys have their Love You Bro t-shirts on. So she said, what's Love You Bro? And we said, oh, it's our podcast. And she goes, wow. She goes, my son's starting pitcher for Tennessee today. She's got the 48 Sechrist shirt on. So it was just so ironic and just the way that kind of happens. So I was like, right on. And, there I am like looking up all the information on you and stuff. And I was like, all right, left-hander. So that's why I sent you that video today. I was over there. We were on another side of the stadium. And your mom was like, no, you need to come over here. We came over there. We start meeting the Tennessee parents, and we're there just rooting the whole time, like we were from, like we were from Knoxville. It was awesome.
Hey, yeah. Zander, I will say this. The only comparisons you were lefties because you couldn't break a window pane coming from that left side.
Hey, so Zander, let's get into a little bit and talk because I want to hear kind of your story down the stretch because one of my big reasons in wanting to get you on is, all this crazy stuff with NIL, people entering transfer portals and moving all over the joint. I go and take a look at you and your career at Tennessee. You're there 4 years. I know you had been to a couple other World Series that you didn't have a chance to throw in. But by sticking it out and doing what you did in the time you put in there, lo and behold, you go beat Florida State to put you guys into that series. But that 6-game stretch that you went on to get there, tell us what that was like for you and what that kind of means to you going down because that 6-game stretch was legendary, brother.
Absolutely epic.
Yeah, they keep telling me that it was legendary, but I guess it's different from an outside perspective. Like from an outside perspective, you're like, oh my gosh, that was so legendary. But as like myself, I couldn't get into all of that. I couldn't, I just had to treat every start, the same exact in one intensity and treat it like the same game. But it actually goes back to I had a bad 2-week stretch of we went to Vandy and Auburn. I couldn't even get out of the second. I couldn't even pitch into the third at all. And I sat down with I went in the video room and I was like, I want a scouting report. I want a scouting report, not just to overbear me, not just to I'm going to look at every time, but I just want to see what my tendencies kind of are. And I kind of want to know what other teams would look at and hang in their dugout to like, hey, this is how he attacks hitters. This is how he's going to get everything done. And I kind of wanted to go off script a little. So I print out a few sheets and obviously not making it out or getting into the third. I kind of lost a little bit of confidence because I was like, you know what, I've been kind of an opener deal. And I knew I could do it. That wasn't the issue. It's just like I just need a game where I'm just, comfortable. I need to get back into a rhythm again. And that's when South Carolina came to town. And then I went 6 shutty there. And then it after that, it just kind of kept rolling. And I kind of kept, like I said, the same mentality throughout every game. Like I'm treating South Carolina as a, SEC championship game. Right. I'm treating, Vanderbilt as an SEC championship game, then Southern Miss, even though that's a final game.
Right.
And then obviously Evansville. I'm treating every game like it's my last, in which when I walked off the field in Lindsey Nelson the last time, that was my last time. But we obviously made it to Omaha, and I knew I wasn't done just yet. But yeah, it went back to those 2 starts that I was really, really shaking. I just had to find something different. And lo and behold, I did. And I just kind of ran with it.
Yeah, because I'll tell you, the young man that I saw when I saw you take the mound against Florida State, and like I said, obviously I hadn't followed you all season or anything like that, but just watching from a standpoint of knowing what a guy looks like on the mound, I mean, you look like a guy that took that mound against Florida State, against Texas A&M, with full confidence of I'm the best man on this field right now. And that's the way it looked like when you threw. There's so much confidence. I love your energy. I've gone back and watched a lot of videos. I like your fire when you come off the field. That's who I tried to be in a smaller role when I played a little bit of junior college well. But I love your energy, man. I love the way you threw, the way you took just such control over the mound and stuff was just a lot of fun to watch, man. So hats off to you and what you did in that 6-game stretch, because it was a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, for sure. And I personally like your swag. I was like, everyone always wanted a piece of Zander. Like it was after everything. But you're animated. I like how you controlled yourself on the mound. But you let some emotions be felt. And there was I forgot which game it was, but it should have been a strike 3. He should have been gone. And I know you got a bit frustrated. And then you came back. You said, I just let it rip. And it was like, good night. And it was a big moment. But to hear you own and say, hey, man, I thought everyone did. I think the whole stadium thought that was, strike 3 was done, and you were a little agitated, but you came back. Like I said, you let it rip, and good things happen.
Well, the funny story about the let it rip part is because common sense told me was in my mind a little bit. Obviously, we played that Wednesday against Florida State, and obviously, I'm not a guy who's like 95, this big draft prospect. I'm just a dude that just wants to compete and throw every pitch with conviction as best as possible. So it was Wednesday there, and then obviously the championship series was Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So it's kind of a short rest. So I say I let it rip after the 5th inning because common sense told me all right, I'm done.
This is it.
I just pitched on Wednesday. I got us to the 5th. I literally did what the starter's job was needed to do, and I struck out the 5th. So I was like, all right, here it goes. And then I go back out there, and then I strike out Laviolette, and then I give up 2 singles. But my mindset was still there. Don't worry. I didn't want to come out, but obviously common sense told me that I was done after the 5th. So that's where I just let it rip. And the pitch before, I've gone back and looked at it. Like in the moment, let me tell you, the strike zone is so small, and when you have so many repetitions of just throwing it to a certain spot, and you picture it in your mind. Like you can picture it, you know exactly what it looks like, and you see the umpire just ring up. I got a little ahead of myself maybe because some of the pitches I thought were strikes earlier in the game were like a ball and a half off. But credit to Cal there for sticking it good. But I think it's when you just look at it from the mound, you just think it's there. But obviously from the TV perspective, you're like, oh yeah, that's not there. And I know the pitch to Grahovac after the 5th was low. It was low, but I think I had an argument for the pitch before.
Right.
So maybe that's where.
Right.
But yeah, I totally agree that it was a ball, like TrackMan. It was low. Like if you slow it down and you see where Cal caught it, like it's a ball. But like the way he just stuck it up, I mean, of course. Like think about it. You're like this. It's like a blink of an eye back there. So I mean, maybe the umpire blinked and then you never know.
Yeah.
But like I said, the previous pitch I thought was strike.
Yeah.
Okay, but I let it rip, and I thought I was done, but I'm glad I came back out and at least got an out instead of giving up 2 base runners with no outs.
Sure, 100%.
So talk a little bit, Zander, about your time at Tennessee. Earlier in your career there, your sophomore, junior year. You see kids entering the portal and stuff all the time. At any time, do you ever go, gosh, maybe I could start somewhere else, or were you like, man, I love my pitching room. I love my coaches. Like, this is just where I want to be. Obviously, it's what you did. But did you guys have very many kids leave Tennessee at all in the portal those last couple of years, or?
No, not really. We were a program that really didn't have many departures.
Right.
Maybe like kids who, okay, all right, it'd be best if you go on. But V always told us like he's never gonna put us down for transferring. Like if we ever thought about that, he wants the best for us. So
of course he
finds a way to get you to a good school and all that. But freshman year, I just rode that out, and I was blessed to go to Omaha, even though we went 0-2.
Right.
Sophomore year, kind of had a breakout, had a 1.67 with like 40-something in each pitch. And then, so I'm thinking the sophomore year is kind of a big year. You like to see your freshman to a sophomore year jump. So I had a pretty big jump, even though it was a midweek.
Right.
Even early midweeks, I was a midweek All-American in my eyes. They should start making that. D1 baseball needs to start making that thing.
That'd be awesome.
I love it.
I would have been first team midweek All-American for 3 years, of course. And then junior year rolls around, and I was thinking, all right, kind of draft year, you kind of get some noise a little bit, but I didn't pitch as much. I was still the midweek guy, but I only pitched 30 innings. So it was a little bit of a degrade. And obviously after that year, you start hearing like different people, different opinions are, talking about, transferring. Maybe this would be best for you, maybe not. But I was like, I've been here for 3 years, and we've come so close, and I committed to Coach V, and I've always been like, instilled with loyalty. And I never even thought one time about transferring at all, like, to be fair, because it's just not who I am. Of
course.
It's just not the person that I am. And I felt like 24 as a whole, especially if you look back at 21, we made it. We didn't even win a game in Omaha.
Right.
22 was the best, you could say arguably the best college baseball team out there. And we didn't even make it to Omaha.
Right.
And 23, we go back. The first game, of course, we had the face Paul Skeens, and we know what he's doing in the league right now. But are we surprised by that? No, we're not. So I just felt like 24 was just a little bit of unfinished business.
Right.
Not for myself, but as a team and a culture. So, I never thought about transferring, and I'm blessed to be able to win a national championship with this program.
100%. So Zander, first of all, Coach V, he's easy on the eyes for everyone. He's got Hollywood looks. He's got Hollywood looks. He got Hollywood looks, and he's done. And you guys had a clubhouse that was full of characters, and obviously all the guys that were drafted. And you're up there with one with Amick, right? The third, and he's a stud. And then your boy called him Drillin' Dylan, who was just hitting bombs.
Dylan.
Yeah. I just hitting bombs. And then, to tie it to us, the Royals got a couple kids. They got Bream in the second. I think he was one of the top second, who they said eventually could be a fourth or fifth guy in the rotation. And then the Kazi kid, they said he's got wiffle ball stuff. His changeup and slider are absolutely filthy. So you guys just had guys all over the place. It looked like a really fun clubhouse. So you guys enjoyed each other, had a lot of fun winning, and it just looked like a magical ride. But you guys looked like you all loved each other, and it was going to be a special season, heading into 24.
Yeah, I think it just comes back to there was a lot of that guys on the team that felt the heartbreak in 22, and they were just eager to get back. And then the next year we do get back, but 23 was a little bit of weird year. There was a lot of moving pieces in with that, with losing the whole lineup from 22 to 23, even though we made it to Omaha. Yeah, there's just a lot of moving parts there. But then 24 was kind of like a collective group that was like, we've been through everything. We've seen Omaha from the lowest of lows to the highest of highs. So I think it was just a combination of guys that just wanted to get things done and weren't going to be denied at any point.
Now, your 22 team, you guys are number one in the country, right? And 22?
For like, I don't know how many weeks, how many days.
I thought that's what I saw. Tell us a little bit about, obviously you see every year, because like I said, I go to the World Series every year, and it seems like every year an SEC team wins it. Tell us, how competitive, for you to get there and having to face, teams in the World Series you face during the season, does it make it just a little bit easier because you guys kind of feel like, I heard Kirby Connell one time be like, they were like, hey, what's this like playing in the World Series and the final championship? And he goes, it's just another SEC weekend. We face this all year long. Tell us a little bit about that, the competition and the SEC that you guys face.
The SEC, it's its own gauntlet as a whole. It's just its own gauntlet. And I think, especially when two SEC teams meet in the final like that, you could ask Texas A&M players, they would probably say the exact same thing. It's just an SEC series with just a heightened sense of, cameras everywhere, a lot more people. But when you go through an SEC, it's not like, Vanderbilt didn't make Omaha, but like they could compete
Right.
with Omaha caliber teams.
Right.
It's like I can make an argument for each individual SEC team. I mean, Georgia, for example, this past year was an unreal offense. Like they could compete with Texas A&M. They could compete with us. I mean, hell, they blew us out Friday night, the first game that they came to Knoxville, and it's like they can compete. It's just everybody's got different paths and different roads, and ours kind of opened up a little bit, and it kind of winning a national championship, I will say, does involve a little luck. And you can ask Coach B that if you want to. It does involve a little luck. You need a couple breaks to go. Of
course.
You play a little bit. So, but then again, when you've been in so many SEC series, especially over the years, once the game gets going, all the outside it goes out the window, because at the end of the day, across from you is just another SEC opponent. Right. I mean, you respect all, fear none, right? I mean, you respect what they got, and I know they had a lot of history with the coaching staff there. So,
of course,
it's just you get in the rhythm of the game, and it definitely was just another SEC weekend, especially if we were playing down there or if they were playing in Knoxville. So, like I said, it's just another SEC series. Kirby said it perfectly. You try not to put too much on it, but I mean, with the part that you're playing at, it's kind of hard. The ESPN signs and stuff, but it was another SEC series, and are we really surprised that it was 1-1 and came down to the third game?
Right.
And Zander, talk a little bit about like Knoxville. Knoxville is like right now. I mean, it's at the kind of the top of the collegiate world in sports. You guys are obviously coming off a national championship in baseball. Football had a great run. They were in the playoff. And then, basketball's top 10. I mean, and it's just a special place. Anytime you see it, the fans are just, they're rambunctious, they're loud, they're in it, and they support all the time, which is really, really cool. Like to me. And one of the things I always look back is like, if I would have gone back and done college different, I would have loved to gone to a school in the SEC, because there's just special matchups, whether it's you guys weekly, who you guys are playing in and out, and for basketball, but just as a whole, your athletic department is, I mean, the sports are second to none. I mean, it really is.
Yeah, like you said, like you mentioned, football, basketball, of course, you think about those three immediately first. And our softball program with Coach Weekly has been unreal. They've been kind of flying under the radar because of like all the other sports, of course. And so I give credit to them, and obviously Coach Caldwell, who just got in with the Lady Balls. I mean, they've been making moves already. They've been beating teams that they weren't beating a couple of years ago. The yin and the yang. I mean, we just beat UConn for the first time, and who knows how long. And with Pat Summitt and the UConn rivalry, that was special. So even the women's sports are doing great. Not like you said, Knoxville's just kind of like its own little ordeal. It's a college town. It's like it kind of is different because you kind of don't see anything, and then all of a sudden you're in Knoxville, and it's all these buildings, and it's just a campus right in the middle of it. But yeah, Knoxville, I can't thank Knoxville enough for taking me in, and the fans are unreal, even though they're rambunctious at times. I kind of treat it. I know I'm a Pittsburgh fan. Yes, I know you have
Mike Tomlin. That's your boy.
We're going to talk about that a little bit. Go ahead, keep going. We're going to talk about that.
Thank goodness. Yes. I'm glad we're going to get into that. But I kind of treat it like Pittsburgh. Like, hey, if you're not doing good, they're gonna let you know that you're not doing good. It's kind of like Philly too.
Yeah.
Like, if you're not doing good, they're gonna let you know.
Right.
So, Knoxville's just its own little ordeal, and I was blessed to play there for 4 years.
Hey, does the baseball squad have Summit blues? You guys have any blues you guys wear for Coach Summit?
From who?
Pat Summitt. But I heard you in one of you talk about Summit blues, like the blue uniforms.
Oh, see, we wanted to do that, but softball takes that role.
Okay, there you go.
But we do honor Pat Summitt. We would have team meetings, and we go over her quotes and stuff. So we do honor her in some sort of way. I'm pretty sure V's probably going to work on something with the blue, because it does look good with the orange. I won't lie. A lot of people kind of aren't a fan of it, but like I'm not saying like a lot of blue.
Right.
Just a little blue.
Yeah.
Works just fine.
Yeah, for sure.
So Zander, tell me last year, who were some of the tougher hitters, or who was the toughest hitter you faced in the SEC last year? Because I want to ask you about a certain guy that the Royals drafted and their first round draft pick, but I want to see who your toughest guy was you faced last year.
Like I said, I struggled that weekend, but Cags is pretty good. Cags takes up that whole box and the whole thing. He's hard to strike out for sure. I would have to give the nod though to Condon, just because of his ability to just, he was hitting bombs. I understand Cags.
Yeah.
I faced Trey Morgan when he was at LSU too, so I think they all just kind of blend together. I faced Tommy White this year too, so they all kind of blend together. There's really no one that like stands out, is because there's so much talent.
Of course.
Cags is, you can pinpoint each guy like Cags. Great pick for the Royals. Will be up there in a few years, depending on how they develop and how they do things. So he's his own specimen. Obviously, he's a left-handed hitter, and then Condon's a right-handed hitter. So two different quote unquote positions there.
Right.
So yeah, I faced both of them, and you can't take a pitch off.
Yeah, right.
You can't take a pitch off, or they're going to hit it 450 feet.
Right. Tell me about your relationship. I saw a lot of fun stuff that you had going on this year, and I think probably through the relationship you guys developed. Tell me about your relationship with Kirby. That was your guy in the pitcher's room. Was that's your dude? Probably the closest guy you were with on the squad.
Yeah, that was my guy, and it feels so weird that now we were like this for 4 years.
Yeah.
And now it's like we got two paths diverge in the woods.
That's right.
And I took the left one, he took the right one, because he's doing his coaching ordeal, and I knew he wanted to do that, so we've talked about it and stuff. I still talk to him to this day. That the relationship's not just baseball wise, but yeah, we were throwing partners ever since I went to school, and then we just kind of, obviously the media, got a little bigger, and everybody started figuring out that we hang out together. I thought it was obvious within 2 years, but hey, they caught on eventually. And we did that ESPN interview after the Florida State game when we clinched our spot, which was hilarious because Kirby pitched that game, but he wasn't expecting the interview, and I was like, yeah, we got one. We're going over here. We got one. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, we just bounce off each other, and it's a lot of laughs, and we do heart to heart sometimes, so it's not just all fine and dandy. There's some heart to heart there. So yeah, I can't thank him enough, and I'll be at his wedding, he'll be at my wedding, and then whoever unfortunately passes away first will be at each other's funerals. So
that's awesome. That's one of the things I remember about baseball. Here this Friday, we have an alumni deal going. Just from a junior college I played here in Kansas, but I'm 55 years old, so I played a long time ago. But there's an alumni deal this Friday, and guys getting together, and it's really cool to still stay in touch with a lot of those guys you played with, because you have those relationships when you spend that much time with guys. You build those relationships with those guys. And I just remember just being a lot of fun. Probably the thing I missed the most was the relationships I had, like you said, not just the baseball part, but the heart to hearts and the stuff that you have on and off the field. Okay, so listen, I told you when we were going to bring you on, you said, hey, we don't have to talk all baseball, man. I want to talk a little football too. Tell us about your squad, man. I know you're a Steelers fan, man. How's everything there in Pennsylvania, Pittsburgh? Is it tough to watch Philadelphia win the Super Bowl?
No, it's not as tough. Not as tough, to be fair. I think people kind of overestimate the rivalry between the Eagles and Philly, or not the Eagles and Philly, the Eagles and Steelers, is because we just don't play a lot. We play every other 4 years, blah, blah, blah. And sometimes we play back-to-back years. So it's just like 1 week to hype it up, and then what? We're not even talking about it. You know what I'm saying? It's done and over with. Now, the Penguins and Flyers, that's a little bit different because they play each other throughout the whole year.
Right.
But yeah.
Are you a hockey guy, Zander?
I'm a hockey guy. Big Sidney Crosby guy.
How good has the Face the Nation been? It's been insane, right? That USA
Nation has been insane. I think they should do that every year. And it's so hard because I'm a big Crosby guy. Like he's my idol. Sure. I like him. I would love to have dinner with him. Yeah. I can't skate worth a crap, but I can move a little stick. Yeah. But I want
that USA Canada game was when they just dropped the gloves, when it's with Hagel and Kachuk dropped the gloves, and then Brady follows it up with it. I'm like, holy shit, this is insane. Like it was absolutely insane.
It was crazy because I think the first one was kind of planned.
Yes.
That's what came out. The first one was kind of planned. then all of a sudden, Matthew goes to the box, and then like Brady on the face-off, just dropping mitts with Sam Bennett, who doesn't even fight.
No.
And then all of a sudden, just the first shot of the game, there's a scrum in front of the net. Now they're dropping. I mean, that was unreal. That's what
Miller bit off too much. He bit off a little bit too much when he went there. He got worked. I mean, I would say it was a draw with the Kachucks, but
I think it was JT Miller that went after Colton Parayko, and you can just tell it was a mismatch, like from the get-go.
And how crazy it was when you see Matthew in the box going crazy for Brady, and fucking Bennett's a teammate of his in Florida. It's like, how's that all work out? You know, it's like,
it's just, well, that's what it comes back to Crosby. Like, Crosby's head coach is coaching USA. You know what I'm saying? Like, so now they meet again in the finals. I'm a little. I do want to cheer for Crosby. I guess you got to go with USA because we need to bring this back in the Olympics.
Yes,
for sure. That's what they're doing.
Yeah.
But and then obviously back to the Steeler thing. I was a big Pickett guy. I won't lie. I was a huge Pickett guy. I was like, this is it.
Right.
We just got to develop them the right way, and we just got to, get pieces around them, and we'll be just fine. Because you know how we are. We just do the defense and stuff. But now we got 2 free agent quarterbacks with Russell Wilson and Fields. I'm not a big Russ guy at all. I think when he came back, inserted at 4-2, he just, nobody knew what he was going to be, and he kind of overhyped expectations and stuff like that. But I think we got to re-sign Fields. We got to re-sign some guys on defense too. But
you know who I love is Pickens. Pickens is an absolute dog.
See, I love, dude, top 3 hands in the league.
Oh, 100%. Yes, 100%. Yes.
And then everybody's like, oh, attitude problems. He looks like AB. I'm like, well, AB didn't start acting like that until he got his money.
100%.
And, I don't know what we're going to do with the quarterback position. I want to re-sign Najee, though, for sure, because everybody's like, he's not fast, blah, blah, this, blah, blah, that. Hey, if I get a guaranteed 1,000-yard rusher in the backfield, that's all I need. Guaranteed.
Yeah, 100%.
I think Najee's a dog. I think you guys got to re-sign him.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think you guys got to sign him. What a bummer bummer for us, but I mean the Super Bowl was just boring for everybody. I mean, unless you were a Philly fan, because it was just a horrible game. But Philly, man, they take it to us big time, man. They put a backyard ass whooping on us for sure.
I just think it was Phillies. They had Barkley. They just had too many pieces, and then they just basically have a Georgia D line.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
from the back-to-back championships, if you look at it, it's them there,
100%.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like I know you guys are Chiefs fans. Hey, you guys won 2 in a row. You guys couldn't have been probably as heartbroken losing that Super Bowl because I mean, you've already won 2.
Yeah.
I don't know how you guys would feel.
We've won 3 in 5 years, so it wasn't heartbroken. I was just more pissed the way they got beat, how bad they got beat because they got beat up.
That's how I would probably. I'd be like, it's different losing a football game, like on a game-winning field goal.
Yes,
okay,
right.
cool, but not.
We got smacked.
No.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, before we let you go, Zander, tell us a little bit about your time here and with the Twins organization. How's all that going? I know you're at spring training right now. How's everything going with that right now?
It's going, man. I got a bullpen tomorrow.
Good.
Just the bullpen, probably live on Saturday, maybe. I think that's how they got me scheduled because everybody's kind of a little bit different.
Of course.
But, just enjoying it up. The first year, I did. See, it's so weird. It's so weird with minor league baseball. When you get here, like for instructs, like we had, every team's different, but we had instructs for 2 months after the draft, and they called that like 1 year. Like,
oh shit! Well,
right.
It's so weird, and I'm like,
right.
I thought you had to go through a whole spring training before you can even consider yourself even a part of the organization. So, yeah, I'm calling it my first full year here.
Okay.
I'm excited for it, and obviously I'll start out in low A, probably most likely, and obviously it's like on a video game. You got to road to the show. So
of course. Listen, Zander, I know you're busy, man. We can't thank you enough for taking time out of your schedule tonight.
A lot of fun, brother.
To be
Appreciate
a part
you.
of our show. Listen, we're gonna keep our eye on you, man. We're gonna be watching a lot of college baseball this spring. I'm gonna reach out to you again later on during the year because we'd love to have you come back on. But thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule and being a part of Love You Bro podcast.
Best of luck. Best of luck, man.
Yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate it, and of course, I'm down for anything. And if you guys need just a spot guy, I'm here for you. And love you, bro.
We love
you,
it,
bro.
man. Love you, bro, man. Best of luck this season.
Love you, bro.
Thanks, brother. Love you, brother. Thanks,
man.
Zander.
Thanks, Zander.
Appreciate
All right,
it, man.
we'll see you guys.
Okay,
bye-bye.
thanks. Hey, guys, thanks so much to our sponsors who give us the opportunity to be able to bring you a show every week with our production team and stuff. So shout out to our sponsors. Our main one, who's kind of our home resident sponsor, Proactive Solutions. Dean and Natalie Thede over there. Thank you guys for what you guys do. So we'd like to thank Proactive Solutions. It's been delivering infrastructure solutions and IT design and consultation services to clients ranging from startups to Fortune 100 companies for more than 27 years. They are proud to be a Kansas City locally owned and top woman-owned business, offering custom solutions and personalized support. If your company needs IT solutions, reach out to Proactive Solutions at www.proactivesolutions.com. So thank you, Natalie and Dean, for allowing us to do what we do and continuing our sponsorship for the season. Also, we'd like to thank Lula Southern Cookhouse. Lula Southern Cookhouse at 1617 Main. Bradley and Brittany Gilmore do an awesome job here. I know they're events-based. They've been doing some parties during the Chiefs playoffs. But please come and check out their brunch. Go to their website and check out Lula's. Their brunch is fantastic on Sundays. Check their menu out. Great people. They have a great event space up here that allows us to shoot our show. So again, thank you to Lula's Southern Cookhouse, Bradley and Brittany Gilmore, and thank you to Proactive Solutions. Welcome back to Love You Bro podcast, man. We just had an amazing guest on, man. I mean, being able to bring on Zander Sechrist, pitcher in the national championship game, College World Series.
That was awesome. What a stud.
Great kid, man. We wish him the best of luck in the Twins organization. But that was just so much fun talking to him and seeing where he was and having him talk about just everything in the SEC. But how about when he talked about CAGs for Florida?
Yeah.
He said the kid takes up the whole box.
Yeah, man. He's a stud. Hopefully, and there's talks he could be up late this year, man.
Yeah.
I mean, it'll be interesting to see how that goes.
We'll see what he does. Well, get back here and get back into our podcast, man. Last week, just due to work and stuff that we had going on, we weren't allowed to get into it. And I think everybody here this whole last week has had quite the Super Bowl hangover, bro. From us just getting. I mean, man, we may want to start off with you apologizing to Sirianni first, and then take it on down the line from.
I don't know who took more of a beating, the Chiefs or me on social media. I didn't even know that many Philly fans watch this shit.
I tell you what,
they put me in a clown suit, man. I was like, "Fuck, man, come on, ease up."
Did you see how many comments were on there?
My Lord.
I don't know if you guys saw or not. If you guys didn't watch the podcast from the week before, there was a ton of Philly fans on our comment section that were just letting me and Jamie have it about ripping on Philadelphia and the Eagles and Sirianni. They were calling us clowns and bozos and everything else.
That's like the PG-13 version of it. But they talked about me how I sit with my legs crossed. I'm like, man, you gonna bring that shit up? Holy smokes. But you know what, man? I mean, what I said was like, that's not going to happen. He absolutely did outcoach.
He outcoached us, man. He outcoached us and their defensive line. Like talking to Zander earlier, that was Georgia's defensive line from the 2 national championship games. And I mean, listen, man, we love our Chiefs and we're huge homers. We love our team. But I mean, it was like Dad said that day. It was like meeting a guy in a bar and a guy going outside and just whooping your ass, and you looking up being like, "Hey, like I'm good. I've had enough, man." Like they put it on us, bro.
No, they absolutely did. And the first 2 series when they were rushing 4, I was like, I kept saying like they're only rushing 4, and they were getting to us each and every time.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking like getting. I mean, they were just. It was disruptive as all could be, and. As it's sitting there, and once again, obviously we just a couple assholes that talk about sports and talk about, but I was just surprised the lack of adjustments that were made on our end. Right. Because from early on in the season, when I was like, man, in the first play of the game, there was like a quick step drop. They got to Juju and he gained like 9. I'm like, that's what, that's how come they didn't switch and just get it out and go, because each time they were rushing 4 and dropping immediately 7.
Yeah.
So anytime Mahomes was going back 4-step drop, 5-step drop, there's nothing open out there. You had to have quick hitter, and the fact that like it was just I've never seen a Chiefs team not even Tampa was that bad. I mean, Tampa.
To me, it reminded me. It was very similar to Tampa, because the way I saw 15, running for his life against Tampa reminded me a lot of this. But to be fair to Tooney, he really stepped up and did a great job down the stretch.
Absolutely.
For what he did, he's one of the best left guards in football. Anybody that knows anything, not to say we're some football gurus, that's not what we're saying, but anybody you talk to and anybody you listen to, that left tackle position is such a tough position. It's why those guys get the big money. It's why they get paid the money they do. And for us to ask Tooney to step outside and play that position, tough. Hats off to him and kudos to him. But I mean, that Philadelphia defensive line just got after us. I saw another deal on social media today, and Lane Johnson said, you know what? I mean, when you talk about keeping receipts and Chiefs talk about keeping receipts,
0 sacks.
He said we keep receipts too.
That was the night before. I think he was addressing.
He said that we wore the 0 sack T-shirt during the parade, and he said we kept those receipts. Our D-line kept those receipts, even though some of those kids weren't there 2 years ago when we played them. They kept that because remember that year Philadelphia broke the record for most sacks in the NFL, and we gave up 0 sacks that Sunday when we beat them 38-35. But, man, listen, hats off to Sirianni, to what their front office does over there in Philadelphia, because those guys have built a monster of a team. Saquon Barkley, I mean, hats off to him. Jalen Hurts was tough, man.
He was tough when we beat them 2 years ago in the Super Bowl. He had a great game. I mean, he really did.
Right.
But, yeah, I mean, they've built – look, they got – I think what separates teams that have, the longevity, you can start saying, oh my God, they drafted, the kid that started at left tackle. He was a 7th round pick, and he was like the one they get that I don't know what they call it, but he was a starter and one of the better left tackles in football. Right. They have 2 corners who are rookie corners. Yeah. And that started.
Oh, that's out.
The ball kid, no one they signed him in free agency. He was defensive player of the year. And it's just a team that's built and they go out and trade for AJ Brown. They, obviously dropped Devontae. They took Saquon and essentially didn't pay or didn't call. Any team could have done that.
Anybody could have done that.
Any team could have done that. And it's kind of, once again, it's
Howie Roseman, right?
Yeah, he's an OG. He's a stud, man.
He's one of top GMs in football for sure. So hats off to Sirianni, to their front office, to their team. You guys came in here and for sure gave us, good old-fashioned ass whooping. But with that being said, though, seriously, all these Philadelphia people that want to chime in and want to watch, you guys have won one. We beat you 2 years ago, so it's 1-1. I have a feeling we're going to see you guys again in another Super Bowl. Maybe not next year, but sometime in the next couple of years. And you guys got to come to Arrowhead. So please bring all the Philly cheesesteaks, bring all that business. We'll be right here in Arrowhead. We'll be doing the same thing. 15 will be here. So we're not avoiding any of the smoke, none of the smoke. We see how crazy Philly is, and you guys hang the Kermit the Frogs, which that's just wrong in so many ways. But listen, we're going to be here. We're not going anywhere. So hats off to you guys. Enjoy your Super Bowl win. Enjoy your time being Super Bowl champions. But don't think for a minute that at One Arrowhead Drive, we're not going to fix what was wrong in this game and that we won't be back, because we'll be back. And, us dudes will still be here rooting for the Chiefs and talking shit on Philadelphia. So that's not going away anytime soon.
And it's going to be an interesting offseason, to say the least, because I think the team will look completely different. Completely different.
It has to look different.
They have a lot of questions. They have a lot of, right now it's really like unknown, like what they're going to do and who they're going to let walk and who you don't. There's certain guys that have been big cogs, if you will, from Trey Smith, obviously, to Nick Bolton, to Justin Reed, all those guys. Right. Those are big questions that what Veach decides to do and what direction they decide to go. Obviously, they kind of missed on their 2nd round pick with Kingsley. As far as I don't think he will be capable of being a left tackle. But I think if he can move to guard and be be a guy who's really, really good at guard. Right. He's not going to be Trey, but he's a guy that's really, really good at guard. Then, it's not a complete whiff.
I think that's what they're saying, though, right? They're going to try to slide him into guard.
Yeah, but it's, and it's funny because, everything comes across from, Bleacher Report to Fansided to all these. We're linked to everyone, but someone that does, and I don't know if Baltimore will let him get to us, but is Staley, the left tackle in Baltimore, who's I think he's 31, who's a free agent, but you can sign him, and he's tough, and I know Baltimore's not going to want to see him go, but we're going to have to do something. Picking from the slot where we're picking from, there's no way they're going to go get someone that can play left tackle week 1, day 1. So they're going to have to try to get it. Another guy is a guy from Minnesota, Cam Robinson, who it was somebody I was interested in when they brought him to Minnesota. Right. So I think that's someone that's an option out there to maybe get that from next year for a couple years to plug that. Right. But it's like I said, they have to do something. They have to go out and solidify that position first and foremost before they do anything else. Before you even think about doing anything else, is you have to get that guy to protect Mahomes' backside.
Remember when we got beat up by Tampa Bay and their defense. Just ripped through because we had backup tackles and stuff in that game, and they just put the whooping on us. They did then. The Chiefs immediately, the first thing they did was go sign Joe Thuney, which was huge, man. Because
they traded for Orlando Brown,
right? You got to trade for Orlando Brown. They brought Thuney in. So I think from the stuff I've seen, I saw a really good quote from Bill Belichick talking about just because that's a guy you can ask of what the Chiefs kind of need to do, because he's a guy that was there 7, 8, 9, 10 years with all the Super Bowls he won with Brady and the Patriots. But he talked about being where the Chiefs are at. You can't just sit back at that spot. You're going to need to come off some money. You're going to need to make some moves. You're going to need to get some draft picks up to move up in the draft if you're trying to get somebody. And I know some of the guys you talked about, they're good, they're solid, 30, 31. I'd love to see him either jump up and go get a guy like the alt kid that came out last year from Notre Dame.
Well, this year there's zero Joe Alts in the draft this year. There's zero in the draft that at the tackle position are going to be. Last year was a pretty strong tackle draft, right. But this year it doesn't look. It doesn't look. It's just not a strong tackle draft. Right. So they'll get creative. They'll exercise every option possible to make it right. But that's what I'm saying. It's going to be really, really interesting to see who they can afford to pay and who they. It's not about coming off cash. They'd come off anything, but it's just salary cap wise of what it means to the organization. And you're not trying to pay a 31-year-old 4 or 5 year deal. Right. They kind of have what they have. But like I said, this is why Veach gets paid the big money. This is why, he's considered one of the top GMs in all of football. He's going to go out and he knows he has to. Right. And sometimes, I've said this early on, when you're picking from, you can't miss on guys because it sets your organization back a year or 2 years. For sure. And it's a difficult thing. And it's also not knocking on what we draft, because the year that we'd had George and all that, George, it was considered one of the best drafts. But where it differentiates is you have to hit on the guys that get paid the huge money, the DNs, the wide receiver position, the left tackle position, the tackle position. We've done an outstanding job. Creed's one of the best centers, and he's paid as it. Joe Thuney, we went and paid him as one of the highest guards. Trey Smith is the 6th round pick from Tennessee. Yep. He was, he's a stud. And they're saying right now that he will get the most money ever paid by a guard in the NFL. Unfortunately, love him, but we just can't do that. We can't. Unfortunately, we can't do that. No, we can't do that. So, Bolton's going to be huge this season, and how comfortable they feel. He's a tackling machine.
Yeah, I just don't think you can let that kid go. Bolton's a guy I would not walk from. Just what he does in the run defense and what he does. I think there's some guys on the D line, young kids, that they can go draft, that they can go look at. But I think Bolton's a guy you hang on to. But like I said, we're not GMs in the NFL. We like to come up here and give our take. So it's going to be interesting at One Arrowhead Drive to see exactly what they do this offseason. But there's going to be a lot of movement. And what's so crazy is every year that you play later and later, you think about, these guys are going to have time off. I remember just last Monday, we had some guys we went to go pick up from the team playing Monday coming back, and you're thinking, okay, guys got time off. but I see a guy like Veach there, and I see a guy like, and those guys immediately are in the office the next day because Combine's it's next week.
Yeah.
Combine's next week. Combine starts next week.
Sure.
Then you got the draft coming up. Then you got OTAs. There is no offseason.
No, there is no offseason for guys like that, and they know what they sign up for. And it's going to be a really interesting offseason for the entire NFL of where people go, who gets moved, who gets cut, who gets re-upped, where guys like Darnold go, and that's what makes the NFL so crazy. It's like it just there is no rest. There is no rest. It's a 365 day, 24/7. It's constantly in motion, and then. The biggest thing, for us also is seeing what Trav does. You know,
I've seen on some social media stuff. They said that the Chiefs have kind of just given him a deal of, we need to know kind of by this time.
March 12th.
Yeah, is that what it is? March 12th.
Yeah.
I saw a thing. Is it social media? And who knows? You see so many things pop out there that they reached out to the Falcons to ask about Kyle Pitts to see if it was.
Yeah, no, he's been mentioned, but it's all every free agent or everyone who's unhappy or disgruntled is always the Chiefs are always in the mix, and it's like, well, some things don't make sense from a cap, cap, but yeah, I think anything is, and obviously. It was last week, and it was a really emotional podcast they had, with New Heights when it was really touchy, man, because Jason was like, he got emotional about how it was taken, and there was, he was at the parade, and once again Philly killed him for being there and said he doesn't need to be there, and he doesn't need to touch a trophy and all that. But I can't imagine what that felt like for him. But what this decision is for Travis, and obviously he said he's going to kick it down the road and just do his due diligence. And I'm sure some days he's going to wake up and be like, man, I'm back, and some days he's going to wake up that it's like, you know what, I'm done.
I don't understand that from Philly fans, though. Philly fans are going to bitch about Jason Kelce showing up and being like, he doesn't deserve to be there. That dude gave you 12 years inside that organization and led your team to a Super Bowl trophy just 2 years ago. Of course he's going to watch his brother. I mean, if this is you and I, no matter where I played or whatever, I'm going to watch you. I've never seen Jason in a Chiefs t-shirt or a Chiefs hat or a Chiefs sweatshirt because he's diehard Eagles, man. That's where he spent his entire career. But for Philly fans to be pissed off about him being there, I don't know. I think that's shitty, and I don't know. There's a lot of things I think about, just stuff that I saw during their parade and during their stuff. I don't know. They definitely do it different there in Philly for sure.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, so I mean, it's going to be a big day, and I've talked to friends, that I'm close to, and they're like, I go. It will be sad, but it'll be more sad for me from, Travis coming to the league and you being with him, pretty much daily for his first 3 years in the league, and what he's meant, to, you personally, me personally, and what he meant, what he's meant for this city, and just not having him be a part of the organization in that capacity will be sad. And he'll, if it's his time, he's done, he's going to retire. He's got so many opportunities, and he's going to be amazing. And there'll be networks that back up the Brinks truck to get him to go do it. And he's just a natural. I mean, that dude, you put him in front of a microphone, he is just natural. And it's like, you have to be a complete dickhead to not like Travis Kelce. I mean, and there's so many people with different organizations and different walks that just, I mean, he's just who you see. Travis, if you see him on game day, if you see him out at dinner, if you see him, it's the same guy, and that's the sad part to me. That just to see him not be here and not be,
But I think Trav will always tell. And I don't know this personally, but I just in my own heart and knowing him and knowing his camp, I think he'll always have a house here, and I think you'll see him around Arrowhead a lot at games and stuff. Having fun, inviting people, probably being in the suite and doing stuff. Because that's just him. He loves this city.
Sure.
He's put so much on and off the field. And that's what I've told people all along is, to me, what was different about this regime and this team and this organization the last 5 to 7 years is not just what they do on the field, but everything that Mahomes gives back to the city, everything that Kelce gives back. They do so much of their own money, but not just that, their time. They put so much time into what they're doing. I think both those guys, when they're done playing, will have homes here. They'll always be in and out of Arrowhead. I mean, who would you want better representing your team, than Kelce and Mahomes?
For sure.
Come back, talk about their run. I want to go back to something you were just talking about for a minute ago. But so, did you see on Radio Row when they had interviewed all the people and stuff, and Micah Parsons was doing his show on Radio Row, and they were talking to him, and I can't remember. He was talking. He was with Derrick Henry, and he's talking to Derrick Henry, and he told Henry, he's like, "Hey man," he goes, "once I hit that 30 mark, bro, if I haven't seen the playoffs or run the Super Bowl," he says, "I might be calling over there and asking Big Red if he needs a
yeah, it's like if you can't beat him, join him." But no, and just so speaking of, that's another one. There's a lot of guys, and I'm talking stars that have demanded trades, and that never goes well. If they're saying, "I want to get out of here,"
right,
you don't fuck with that. Right. You don't like bring them back and let
right,
them be like, you know what?
Right.
Like once again, my boy AB running out with his no shirt on. He's a fool, but he's awesome. I mean, whatever. But so like Debo Samuel, I want to trade Myles Garrett, and so right now they're talking about teams like Buffalo, who can say, "Hey, how do you beat the Chiefs now?" Yeah. You rush 4. You bring a Myles Garrett in. Yeah. You talk about, you're talking about guys that in Parsons, you don't know what he's going to do. No, you don't know if he's going to say, "Hey, I want out." But you're talking about major pieces, and I'm not talking about little guys that can make a difference on certain situations. You're talking about a guy that talking about guys, that can make a difference in what next season is going to look like and how that's going to play out. So it makes it no one knows, and there's all sorts of meetings. There's all stuff that's going behind the scenes that are, people are talking and saying, "Hey, what would it take to get him? What would it take?" Obviously, just being who the Chiefs organization is, not a lot of people want to deal with us. Yeah. But once again, NFL, you can kind of paint yourself in a corner because a lot of these organizations say, "Hey, you have permission to go talk to someone." Right. You have the permission to go talk to someone. You can go talk to who you want. It's permission, so it's allowed. But they will, I'm sure one of your first calls would want to come here. There's other organizations. Obviously, Philly, they are stacked. They are loaded. Yeah. There's no one. I don't think they have any really pending big time free agents that might, right. So everyone's going to want to talk to everyone. And if you matter, you find a way. And that's just what it is. When they talk about a salary cap, there is a salary cap, but you can find ways to kick the can down the road and bring people and bring people in and make room and make someone. It just once again how bad and what kind of fit that they would be. Yeah. But obviously we have a lot of. We have right now, if you look at it, we have a lot of holes as far as look at the wide receiver room. You're not even talking about the tight end room with what if Trav decides to, "Hey, I'm hanging him up. This is it." But what the tight end room looks like, but you have the wide receiver room, and it's like right now, it's like, it's she and Worthy, and then it's like there's no Juju, there's no D Hop, there's no Justin Watson, there's no.
I'd like to see him. I hope they bring Marquise Brown back because I think Marquise could be big for that room. I think he'd be big if you had Marquise and you had Rasheed and you had. Worthy. I think those are 3 legit. Like I said, there's so many holes. It's going to be interesting to see what they do this offseason. And just in talking with Jessica, like different people being like, like how's Jude or how's Jamie doing? Like after the Super Bowl loss, like it was tough to watch from a standpoint of us because we got beat up so bad. It was the way we got beat, not the fact that we lost the game. We've won 3 of 5. I couldn't be more proud of being a part and being around of this team, this organization, players, and what they do on and off the field, and having more fun with it. It sucked. That loss sucked, but it just sucked to watch them get beat the way they did. Yeah. But like you said, there's a lot of holes, a lot of things to fix. The offseason is going to be interesting. Hopefully, we're going to get a few more of those guys to come in and to come through here. Sure. I was showing Jessica a text. I was on the phone with Tyreek the other day. Tyreek said he will come on the podcast. So maybe just a deal with him calling in from Miami. But Tyreek said, he's going to be on vacation for a little bit. But Ty said he'd come on the show. I would love. I can't wait. That will be an epic show. And just my thing is how we get him back here. How we get him back here. What we need to do to get him back here. I'm sure you did because you watch all the stuff and we talk about a lot of this. Did you see him on with Kay Adams? Yeah, on Up with Kay, the interview with Kay Adams, and then how about the one he had with Ryan Clark? Yeah, you see the one. It got heated for a minute, but watching those guys on those podcasts and those shows, and watching those guys ask some of that stuff to Tyreek, I just want to get him on here, see like where he's at, what he's got going on. I know he'll immediately start training hard in the offseason. He's under contract with Miami,
Sure.
So it'll be interesting to see if anything happens there, or if they just keep him there and start building some more pieces around there. But we got so many more fun shows and stuff to do the rest of the spring, the rest of the summer.
Yeah.
The Royals spring training started back up, man. Bobby Witt and the boys are going to be fun to watch. And just the way we talked to Zander Sechrist today and him talking about Cags, man, it's going to be, it's going to be interesting to see how soon or what he does.
Yeah. And I think obviously it'll be exciting. People are excited for the Royals. It'll be a nice, like, you can honestly say, and the whole division got better. Cleveland got better, Detroit got better. The White Sox are still, they're years away, but they loaded up on young talent. It's kind of how they're developed and what they do. So the White Sox, I'd say 2 or 3 years will be a situation, be a problem. But it's between Minnesota, Cleveland, Detroit, and us. But I mean, I think from if you go around the diamond, it's like, it's solid. And I love India. They love Jonathan India, and best of luck to Singer in Cincinnati. He did a lot for us, and he was a bit high pick from Florida for us. But India will be a stud leadoff hitter. I mean, I think he'll be a stud leadoff hitter, and you kind of go around it, and and then they got the kid who closed last year in Anaheim, and then he went to Philly and closed. Right. But between him and Ursig, it's kind of what you need to do, and it kind of gives us a feel of, back in the day of Herrera, Waiters, and so it's kind of what you have to do if you're us. But it'll be fun. It'll be exciting. I mean, people will be stoked for opening day. Yeah. It'll be a high price ticket. Opening day will be what it is. So it'll be awesome to see, and it'll be awesome to so that'll be fun. And then to see what our Jayhawks do coming down the stretch.
Yeah, I don't know. They could be your Jayhawks right now, because I can't even. It's hard for me to watch a full game. Listen, we love our boys there in Lawrence, man, and we're always diehard Jayhawk fans. But they've just been tough because it goes back to anything we talk about in sports. It's just the consistency. You can watch them go 4 minutes and look like world beaters, like they can beat anybody when they beat Duke and the Carolinas and stuff earlier this year. And then you see them go in 4 minute sports when they probably couldn't beat, Hickman Mills High School. No disrespect to them, but I mean, they've just gone on spurts. I just don't understand.
Poor coach, man. He has to be drinking like Maalox by the case.
Yeah,
like
man.
It's stuff you watch.
He's got to be pulling
his hair out, holy shit, man. How do you guys?
I saw he lost to Utah. Did you watch the Utah game on Saturday?
No. So that's funny you say that. So and we talked a little bit about with Zander, but I was dialed into the hockey. It's this hockey that's going on right now. There's probably nothing better for me. It's absolutely outstanding. So they were playing Canada at the time. So when they finished, I was looking at my phone, but I was watching the hockey game, and I switched, and we were down at half, and I'm like, well, this ain't going good. And I went to bed. I literally went to bed, and I got up at some point and looked at it. I'm like, holy shit, we lost. And they got tomorrow night. They're at BYU. They could lose tomorrow night. Yeah, and they got
Houston. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen. They're at 23 right now. I forget what their consecutive week stretch is of being in the top 25, but they're real close to being like out of the top 25 for the first time in probably 20 years.
Yeah, but it's, to me, like I've told you before, they have struggled, but they've proven they can play with anyone in the country. They beat Duke, and I can say that's not the same Duke team, and that's fine. But they played with Duke. They should have beat Houston. That was a double overtime game. They've played. They beat Iowa State, was considered a top team. So it's just somewhere, somehow, if they can click and get on it. But what will be cool is that it's the first time, and I don't know, and maybe our people can look at it, but that MU, K-State, and KU will be in the NCAA tournament, which will be a lot of fun. We have our man here from Specialized Printing tonight. K-State. Is K-State going to make the tournament? Yeah, they're in. They're in. They're in. I mean, they had a little hiccup the other night, but they've won. They've won 4 or 5 in a row against ranked teams. So it's going to be fun. But that'll be it'll just be fun, man. And that's spring's also, we got the Big 12 tournament coming up. We got March Madness coming up. KC current season will kick off. We got Royal season. We're going to go out and do one of our podcasts at KC Monarchs Field. We talked to Mark Brandmeier. Mark Brandmeier, the owner of the KC Monarchs, is on with that. So we'll love bringing Mark on. We have a lot of fun shows to do this spring. For sure. Guys, I know we've talked about it for a while, but we got our guy, Tommy O'Donnell from Specialized Printing in the house tonight. We will be doing some swag, some hats. So when we get our store
up and running, T.O. will let us know. We'll tell you guys where to go to be able to look for some swag. We'll have some T-shirts, probably some hoodies. Yeah. But we really want to do a lot of cool hats this spring. So Specialized Printing will be doing that for us. We'll get that kicked off. And just looking forward to bringing a lot more podcasts this spring, this summer.
Can't wait for Reek.
Can't wait to get Tyreek on here. There's a few more, but I want to wait till I get final confirmations from before we know what's going on there. All right, man. I'm going to take off out of town for a little bit, but I'll be back for next week's show.
Love you, bro.
All right.